The first thing people notice about me is my beard. And every time someone says something about my beard, I have to tell them my story.
Hey, look, it's James Harden. He's on my team.
I know what that's like.
What is the story behind the beard?
So before I start, I want to ask you to do something for me, and it's optional, so you don't have to do this. But if you would, play along. Just grab something and keep it in your hand for the duration of the time that I'm talking. Whatever you want, whether it's your phone, your wallet, a quarter, a pen, your cell phone, a book, anything that you can just keep in your hand, and just try to hold it the entire time for me, okay? And if you need to let it go, feel free to set it down. So ever since I can remember, I've felt like I've had enormous potential. Something deep inside of me has just always been there. And it's kind of hard to find out what it is, but I think that everybody, has a purpose, and the point of life is to find out what your purpose is. So I think that some of us find it at certain times in our life. Some of us never find it at all, which is sad. And some of us that are very blessed, like me, discover it early, very early on. And for me, I've always known kind of what I wanted to do. I mean, I talked about basketball earlier, but I also had another talent that I was very interested in as a young kid. It's just something that I've always been persistent in. That's a quality that I have. I mentioned passionate. I asked my wife earlier today at breakfast one quality to describe me, and she said passionate. And I said I agree, because that is the word that I like to use to describe myself. No matter what I'm doing, I'm passionate about it. Whether I'm talking to you guys or if I'm doing anything else, I do it with the best of my ability. I put my heart and my soul into it every time. And for me, the reason I've been persistent in my life is because I know what I want. I'm motivated. I'm highly motivated and driven. For example, when I met my wife Amelia, it was love at first sight for one of us. But I was persistent, and I believe the reason I was persistent with her was because God was calling me to do that. And so I'm happy that he did that, because now I have a wonderful wife, and beautiful kids. And I'm thankful for that. So I want to show you Tyler's talent video. At 3 years old, my mom was videotaping me, and I said this to her. And it kind of changed everything for me.
3, 2, action! Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, that I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Thou art with me. A rod and staff comfort me. I prepare tables before me, and paths my enemies. And not my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
So in that clip there, I was 7 years old, Gabriel's age. And I told you earlier, Gabriel, that you reminded me a lot of myself when I was 7 years old, because that's something that I could see you doing. I memorized that and said that in front of my church without being nervous. And as a 7-year-old, right there, that was my talent. That was it right there. I didn't see it at that time, but that was it, right there. And the 3-2 action thing, that was me. I don't know why I said that at 3 years old, but I did. And, I just became interested. As far as I can remember, when I watched a show on TV or anything, and I discovered that these kids, these people are not real, they're actors, I thought that was the coolest thing out there. It's amazing. I was like, wait, so you're saying I could do this? That's what I said. I was like, I want to do that. I wanted to be an actor. So my parents took me on vacation to Universal Studios when I was a kid, and one of my favorite movies was Back to the Future. Back to the Future still is one of my favorite movies. So we got to go on the set of Back to the Future, and it was incredible. And they asked for 2 volunteers. So everybody there stood up and raised their hand. And I was one of those kids jumping up and down. Yeah, pick me. Well, guess what? They chose me. How did that happen? I don't know, but it was meant to happen because this was passion for me. This was it. And I got to be in that car. I was in the DeLorean. They showed us how they made it move to make it seem like they were going, but it just stayed still the entire time. Yeah, it was incredible. That was just another interest that kind of triggered this passion for me, that I knew that someday I was going to pursue this. So in high school, I went to Morton High School. Again, I was very blessed to have this opportunity. Morton High School had a broadcasting class. And in this class, they expose you to film. So what my teacher said was, here's a camera. We have a computer for you to edit the video with. Now go make a 30-second commercial. And I said, okay. And I made one. And then I made 10 more. And they were good. And they showed them on the school announcements. And they would show them to every single class at the same time at 10:15 every morning. And it just became my thing. Then after they would show, I'd walk down the halls of the school, and everybody would say, Tyler, I love your video. Tyler, this video was awesome. So I just kept doing more and more and more, and I loved it. So I did more things. I made music videos. So soon my music videos started playing on announcements. Everybody that I knew that I was good at this. They knew that this was my talent. And up until that point, I didn't realize, I knew I had this interest in film, but I didn't know that this was going to be my career. So as a senior in high school, I was like, okay, I'm good at this. Everybody's encouraging me. I'm going into this as my career. I did a project my senior year, and I told them that I wanted to be an actor, but that ended up changing to more of the production side of it. But it was the last week of school for me, and my principal called me into his office. Nobody likes being called into the principal's office. But this was a good call. And when I got in there, he told me to sit down, and he said, Tyler, I believe in you. And I think that you're meant to do good things. I think you're going to go to Hollywood, and I don't want you to forget where you came from. And I was just like, whoa, wait a second. Did you just say that to me? Really? I was grinning from ear to ear, and I was the most confident I've ever been in my entire life, that I was meant to do this. So there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to Hollywood. That was the plan. So I went to Illinois State University, and I majored in television production. Film was my minor. And my first class for my major was Intro to Video Production, Com 163, and I was so excited for this class. So excited. First one there, and after everybody left, I stayed. And I went up to my professor and I said, hi, my name's Tyler. And I told him all about myself. I told him about how I've made videos for a long time now. I told him about my dreams, my aspirations. I told him about the success that I was so focused on, that I was destined for in Hollywood. And he said, Tyler, slow down. He said, you know how many people out there are just like you? You know how many people make videos? You know how many people want to act? You know how many people are in Hollywood? Yeah. A little discouraging for me, being so confident coming out of high school. I was a big fish in a small pond. Going to now a big lake and being a tiny fish was an adjustment. And my confidence kind of got pushed away. But it didn't stop me from trying. So I discovered this opportunity called Big Shot Live. And this was a reality show where you had to make a video and you had to basically get people to vote for you. And then if you were in the top 5, every week they would choose somebody from the top 5 and they would send them to Hollywood. So I was like, this is what I'm doing. I don't need college anymore. I'm doing this. They're going to choose me. I'm going to go to Hollywood. So I spent all my time making these videos. Every week I made a new one. I begged every person I knew to vote for me, and every week I was in the top 5. They mailed me some contracts I had to sign, and I thought, wow, I have a chance of this. So my grades started to suffer because I stopped caring about my grades. I was focused on Hollywood. I was focused on success. That was all that mattered to me anymore. Well, all those hours I spent, it didn't work out. All those weeks I was in the top 5 for this, it didn't happen. And I started to get a little discouraged, but I found this contest for Keith Urban's greatest fan. And I was a Keith Urban fan. I wouldn't say I was probably his greatest fan, but I was good at making videos. So I said, I'm going to enter this contest. I spent 1 hour recording myself with a camera. I edited it all in 1 hour, sent it to him, not thinking anything of it. Just saying, you know what, I just did it for fun, basically. Well, a few weeks later, I got a call, and I answered it. I was in the middle of class, and I answered it anyways. Because I was like, this is from Nashville, I got to answer this call. So I answered it. It was Keith Urban's video director. He said out of all these submissions, they chose 3. And out of those 3, I was one of those 3. And he said, hey, how would you like to be on a reality show on TV? And I was like, huh? This is a call I've been waiting for my whole life. It's like, yes, of course I do. So yes, that's what happened. I had tickets to see Keith Urban in Peoria a few weeks after that, and their plan was to come to ISU and to follow me around for the day to document my life. So they came to my dorm, I showed them everything. They came to my class. They saw my production side of it. They saw how I was working at a news station there on campus. And they said, wow, you're really good at this. You're good at making videos. So out of the 3 people that were in this show, there was two girls, a young girl, a woman, and then me. And we all had kind of a different thing that we got to do, different opportunity to interact with Keith. The young girl got actually like a private show. So she got to just have Keith kind of play one-on-one for her, which was really cool. And my experience was completely different.
I go to Illinois State University, like half an hour away from here. So, but I grew up in this area, so it's like my backyard, you know?
You've been to this place a million
I've
times.
been here so many times. I've never seen it so full all the way up to the top, though. Only when Keith Urban comes. That's the only time it's ever full.
Right on,
That's
Tyler.
for sure.
Jerry, this is Tyler.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to see you, brother.
I met him. He's awesome. Show me around. What's up, guys? Hey. You guys are awesome. Love it.
Jump on in here, brother. Yeah. You believe in God, right?
Oh, definitely. He got me here, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
So I could have seen the sign right there. Out of all these experiences, they chose me to be the one to get to pray with Keith Urban before going out on the show. Was that a coincidence or was that a purpose? For me, I didn't see it as a sign, but that was the sign right there. That was the sign I wasn't looking for. Me being too focused on success was all I was concerned with. So I saw this as an opportunity for my career. So Keith's video director said, I like your work. When you get your degree, move to Nashville, I'll help you find a job. So from this moment on, Hollywood was no longer in my radar. I was going to Nashville, Tennessee. I had a connection with Keith Urban in the music video industry. All I was thinking about was success. I graduated, had good grades, got to Nashville. Amelia came with me. It was incredible. We went there. We were so excited. I thought this was going to happen. It was meant to be. I got there. A flood had just hit Nashville. So the music video industry just was changed entirely. From having a $125,000 per video budget, it went down to about $25,000. So when I asked for this job that I was basically not promised but encouraged to come for, he told me there wasn't a job anymore. He said that there isn't one anymore. He said, good luck, best of luck to you, but I don't have any connections for you. And soon he stopped working for Keith Urban. Now he works for Chris Young. And he basically just wished me best of luck. So it didn't work out. But it was because I was always striving for success. And that's why it didn't work out, because I wasn't actually looking at the signs that he was giving me, okay? Well, at the same time, my stepdad, who was an incredible guy, he was diagnosed with cancer, okay? And this was back when I was still in college. And he was only my stepdad for a short amount of time. You know, I wasn't his blood, but he treated me like a son. And it took a little time, but he did so many things for me to show that he cared about me. Didn't have any kids of his own. So he devoted his time, his efforts, to be there for me when it mattered most. When I was in college, they had kind of like an Oscars type thing, and I was in different TV shows, so I was nominated for a bunch of awards. He was there. He was watching me. And I looked out there when I accepted the award for Best Director, and guess who I saw? Him, smiling at me. And that right there meant something to me. So when he told me he was diagnosed with cancer, you know, that was a big moment there, and kind of changed a lot. So he decided to do, you know, alternative treatment, and he was having some follow-up appointments at Mayo Clinic, and it happened to be the same time as my college graduation. And I told him, I said, I don't want you to come. I want you to go get better, you know? Do your tests. Figure out how we can fix this. Don't worry about being there for my graduation. It's not a big deal. But he thought it was a big deal. And guess what? He was there. He didn't need to be there, but he drove way too fast to get there on time. So for me, that was it, you know? That showed that he cared. So that was it. He was a part of my life from that moment on. And as the story went on, you know, we moved to Nashville. He made his bucket list. My mom and him bought an RV and went across the country, crossing stuff off the bucket list. We were fortunate enough to go on a few of those adventures with them. They came down to Nashville and picked us up. We went to the Gulf Shores with them. I was able to walk the beaches with him and looking for seashells, spending that quality time together, and just enjoying the moment, enjoying life. We lived together, and everything was just fine at that time. It was great. It was right where we needed to be. And I could just see his demeanor changing. He had peace in his heart. So my lease was up in Nashville. I became a manager at a steak restaurant. I wasn't in my industry. I wasn't in Hollywood. I wasn't doing what I knew I wanted to do. So I decided to move back. I came back here. My current job at the U.S. Cellular Coliseum, now the Gross Singer Motors Arena, opened it up. I became the director there, so I had a part-time job there. But it wasn't enough for me to sustain, to have enough. So I needed more. I became a manager at Kmart, and I was here for my family, for Larry, for my mom. I wanted to be here. And as time went on, and he became more sick, he wasn't able to travel anymore. He was on hospice, and he had to stay home. And it was the last time I actually saw him on Father's Day weekend. And I went over to his house, and I was frustrated because looking at him, this was a muscular, big guy, and he was depleted. He was weak. The muscles were gone. He looked sick, and I was frustrated. I was angry. And I said, "Why you? Why did this happen to you, Larry? It's only been 3 years you've been in my life. How is this happening?" I was mad. And he looked at me, and he said, "Why not me? Why not me?" I teared up just like I am right now. Because I can't believe that somebody could be so selfless. I can't believe that when I'm frustrated, angry for you, you're telling me that you're okay. You're saying that 58 years was all I needed on this earth. Because I knew there's more. He was comfortable. He was confident. And most importantly, he assured me that it was going to be okay. I didn't know it then, but that was the last time that I saw him in person. And that conversation changed everything for me. So the beard. I'm sure you're all ready to hear the story. The beard. I was going through video and pictures to make this video for his service. Thank you. And I found this picture of him at 30-ish years old, 40 maybe, with a big grizzly beard. And I'd never grown a beard before. I basically couldn't grow a beard up until this point. But I said, you know what? I'm going to grow a beard. I'm going to try to grow a beard for Larry as a tribute. Just my way of remembering him. Because his fear was that not having any kids of his own, he wouldn't be remembered. He would be easily forgotten. And that was the fear that he had. But here I am today, still talking about him. Here I am today with this beard still on my face. Because the plan was for 1 year. But after 1 year, I wasn't ready. The beard wasn't big enough yet. So I said, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And this beard is still here now. And every day that I look in the mirror, I think of him. I think of him. And everywhere I go, everybody compliments me on my beard. They say, hey, I love your beard. The crazy thing is I didn't do this to be cool, but right after I started this, Duck Dynasty became popular. How is that happening? It was meant to be. It was meant to be. So everywhere I went, it was Duck Dynasty. Hey, are you in Duck Dynasty? Like, no, I'm not in Duck Dynasty. Yeah. Signs were everywhere. Signs were everywhere. My mom wrote a book. Why not me? I'm sure many of you have read that now. That was part of her story and her journey. And I read the book, and reading the book gave me this motivation. It gave me this kind of purpose. At this time in my life, I was feeling lost. I just felt lost. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't know where I was going. Thanks to my stepdad, he left me just enough money to start my own business. So thankfully, I was able to quit being a manager at Kmart because that job wasn't making me happy. That's not what I went to college for. And I was able to start my own company, Totally Creative Video, which I still run today, which supports my family. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity. But I still feel lost. This isn't what I wanted to do. This isn't my purpose. So I've been praying. And this year is a milestone for me. This year is 30. Yes, and my wife. So for us, we've been talking, looking forward to turning 30. For me, as I mentioned in my children's story, I kind of put church and my faith aside for a little bit when I pursued basketball. And right at that same time was when I was taking steps to become baptized. So at the same time, I kind of stopped going to church a little bit. And all my friends got baptized, but I didn't. So this is something that I've always wanted to do. And this church is something that I care about so much that I want to become a member of this church. Amen. So for my 30th birthday, when most people dread turning 30, I am looking forward to turning 30. 30 is the age that I'm the most excited for because I'm capable, I'm confident, and I have a purpose. I have found that purpose. So I decided to get baptized as my 30th birthday present to myself. That's what I'm doing now. So I talked to Pastor Brad, and I said, hey, I want to be baptized, and I want to take steps to get baptized. So I want to do a Bible study. And it's not just a coincidence that Pastor Brad and the Gingers are here. God brought them in here for my life, for this purpose. I truly believe it. So much so. And so we've been studying, and as we're studying, I'll find a verse that just jumps out to me, and I'm like, reading this chapter that he's assigned to me, it's like, it's just meant to be. I'm meant to read this verse at this specific time in my life. There's a purpose. I'm feeling it. So after feeling lost and praying for signs, I finally started seeing them everywhere I went. There were signs showing me that what I'm doing is showing me where I'm supposed to go, that I'm doing the right thing. And let me tell you, when you pray to God asking for signs, you better be ready. Because he'll give you signs. Okay? So I was doing a job for the Morton Chamber of Commerce. And I've done this job for 7 years now. What they do is every year they have me go to Morton businesses that are new, and I interview them, and I ask them about their business, why they chose Morton, etc. And I make a little video of like 10 businesses, all new in Morton, and what they have to offer. So this year they had a new director who was a little less organized. You know, I've done this so many times that it's pretty easy for me, but she didn't really have like it organized. So I was scheduled to be at a shoot at 10:30, right? 10 o'clock? 11? Okay. 11 o'clock. And that night, she'd emailed me and said that I needed to go to another business at 9 a.m. But I woke up and I didn't know that I had to be there at 9 a.m. So I checked my email and I said, whoa, I got to be somewhere at 9 a.m. And rushed out of the house, gathered all my gear, made sure everything was somewhat charged. I was a little worried because I didn't know, I wasn't quite ready yet, you know. And feeling rushed and anxious isn't a good feeling. It leaves you a little frustrated. So I wasn't in the best mindset when I went to this place. It was called Old School Arts. And I walked into this door to see the owner, husband and wife, greet me with a smile. And instantly just started talking to me, asking me questions about what I do, why I do it. And I told him the whole story, the story of the beard. I told him that my purpose that I've discovered, that I'm doing Bible studies, and that I basically, when I told him the story about the beard, the man there, co-owner, started crying. He teared up, and this was a big guy. He's a big guy that, you know, you wouldn't expect to be crying. But he had just lost his dad, and he told me that this story was what he needed to hear. But what he was telling me was what I needed to hear, because at that time I wasn't happy with what I was doing. But God was sending me there for a reason. And before I left, he gave me this as a sign. And on the back he wrote, "Why not you?" Amen. Why not you? And now tell me that's not a sign. When you're praying for signs and you get a sign, that means it's being answered, right? Yeah. So these signs just keep coming to me everywhere. And Romans 8:28, feel free to turn there if you want, but keep that item in your hand still if you can. And you know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Now, my last chapters that I've been assigned to read for this week were the first 8 chapters of Romans. So tell me, was this not a purpose? Was this not meant to be? That this is my new favorite verse in the entire Bible? It's another sign. For me, it's all about letting go of what you're holding on to. And that's what this trip is really about for my family and I. We've decided to finally let go of all we've been holding on to here. And just to let him lead us in the direction that we need to go. We don't know where we're going to go. We don't know who we're going to meet. All we know is we're letting go and letting God lead us where to go. So on this journey, we are excited because I want to talk to every single person that I can possibly talk to, whether it's a group of 2 people or a room full of 100. I just am looking forward to the opportunity. We don't have a plan. We're just going. We're going to California. My plan was to get on the Ellen Show. My plan was to shave my beard. My plan was to sell my screenplay. My plan was for success. That's not my plan anymore. Up until just 2 weeks ago, that's what I was focused on. Selling my screenplay, getting on the Ellen Show, finding success. I hadn't listened to all these signs that he's been pointing me in. So I'm finally ready to let go of everything that I've been holding on to. The success that I've been holding on to in my hand. I'm finally ready to let it go. So I want to ask you, what are you holding on to? Are you ready to let it go with me? So you can let it go finally. Please, let it go. So what I want to do is I want to become a fisher of men. That's my new purpose. I want to encourage others. I want to uplift them. I want to motivate them. And I want to bring them to God. That's what I want to do. So it's not about success for me anymore. It's not. But our plan is to go on this trip, and we'll be back. And when we come back, we're getting baptized. And I want you all to be there, okay? Because everybody in this room is who I care the most about in this world right now, okay? So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. And most importantly, thank you for encouraging us and supporting us. Because we'll be thinking about you. You'll always be right here, okay?